Hello guys. Welcome back to another stream. Basically, I looked at my previous streams and I found that the audio was not very good, and that's probably because I'm using a webcam, and basically I'm using the same microphone that's built into the webcam, and I don't think it has very good capabilities in terms of noise cancellation or like picking up the lower frequencies. So I decided to order a new microphone today from Amazon, and it will be arriving sometime today. So I haven't received it yet. So in the upcoming streams, the audio would be a little bit better. And as soon as I went live, there is someone who sent me a message, and it's nice. Like they just reached out to me asking questions about it. So I think we will have a more interactive stream today, hopefully. So let me just log into my Twitch and see what's going on, what they are asking. And I go to my channel, what's going on. So there is they're asking me, do you know anything about batch programming? Let me just tell them what do they mean by batch programming. So okay, here's my browser. So they are asking me what do you know anything about batch programming? Okay, batch files. So I think they mean that. I think they mean. I think you mean ask about writing about scripting. They are probably asking about scripting, in my opinion. So let's see. Hopefully, let's bring the chat in. Okay. I know about scripting, but today's stream is about building application. Oh, they mean game entirely in batch. You can do that. You can write a game in batch files. But it would be suboptimal. Because there is only that much is that you can do. Basically, what we can do on what do you call it, on a batch script is basically you can just manipulate some files and basically show some items in the things like yeah, sure. I would love to check out your not respond. Yeah, so let's see. I think we can I can just go to the Discord. Thanks for coming along. So now I would like to start my stream. So let's get started with the session today. I will check out your Discord link, pw_ig. I think I will check out your link. Okay, so let's look at what we were doing. So we had we added the Seri logger yesterday. It's done. And basically, a logger is someone who can or some piece of software or library which sits around your application, which provides you certain which intercepts certain parts of the application code to basically spit out an output on your either in a file or makes puts them on a HTTP server somewhere, whatever mechanism you are using for writing your logs. In this case, I am just using this for my general debugging. So I'm spitting out the log on standard input output. There is something called std out, which is like standard output of my console. So it just dumps that log output there, and because it intercepts into the HTTP pipeline, I just don't have to write any code to measure the time and those kind of things, which is really nice. So let me just see if the audio is coming up okay on the stream. So I just want to make sure that people are able to hear me. There is some background noise coming. Just give me a second. Yeah, I think it's better now. So let's get started with our tasks. So we had done all these things yesterday. Now for us to basically the next step is to build this or fix these two bugs which we found yesterday. And let me start my database so that let's see. So there is somebody on the chat window. Yeah, so just to show you guys, this is the ASCII art that was created by tw_ig. I don't know their name. Probably it's their handle on Twitch. It says they've sent me this link, and yeah, I that's what I thought. It's going to be some ASCII art which you will build using the ASCII characters onto console, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. I really like it, and basically it's a very what do you call it very nice way of representing some art. For you, you can as I said, you can build games using ASCII art or bash scripts or batch files. The problem that comes into play is there's all the everything that you have to do is basically using these characters or these. For example, if you see the parts of the I are made using basically the hyphens, the commas, and the curly braces and that kind of stuff, right? So it's entirely built up of characters, ASCII characters, and it's amazing. And basically he's saying that it's only 24 lines of batch script, which is really cool. Yes, the thing is. The majority of the code or the part lies in generating this. So for example, if you have a text file that contains all these ASCII characters. Like all these areas are represented by spaces, right? These are spaces, right? All these parts. So it's like a fixed width file with all the areas. For example, these two top lines or 2 or 3 lines are just filled with empty spaces. So it's a fixed width file. And if I can just show you something here, probably I can show you something like this. So what will happen is you will just have these, like this is the first line. So this is my, as you can see, like these dots represent space. So I have visualization open for my in my text editor for white spaces. So I do this, and then basically this is my second line, right? So what we do is we have these empty characters. So it's you create a fixed width file by just pasting these characters here, and then after that what you do is basically you start creating your stuff with so the majority of the fun or like the major part of this thing lies in the fact that you have to fill them basically with some characters. For example, if you want, you can have this thing to give an illusion that this is a filled space or like not empty space. And then basically inside where you want to draw stuff, you can just draw stuff using different characters. So this gives you, like, you can build even take this as a track or a road, right? So this looks like a road, and then basically you can build a vehicle on top of it. So there are like multiple ways, but I really like I like the concept of ASCII art. But then when you are working with ASCII art, like after a point you start hitting the limits of like if you want photorealism and those kind of things, then you have to basically go onto more graphics oriented stuff, something like Unity maybe, or Unreal Engine, which are more what do you call it, more feature rich. I would not call it feature rich. It's like which are more graphics oriented game engines. But like this is a very good thing. And basically let me just they are asking, I sent you the script for it. Let me just thank them for the script. And what I'll do is basically I'll just I mean sometimes I do write games in Unity, which is like a gaming engine which is more graphics oriented. And basically in Unity you can build like these super polished kind of games. So for example, just to show you example here, let me just open my Unity editor. And there was like there is one game that I'm working on and off. It's not I mean, yesterday I just started built a new and I have a plan in my mind with a full story. In fact, I can probably show you the story as well for the game. So if I go to my Jira, so we do have like I do have a game concept in my mind, which is more like ideas and those kind of things. So we did it's right now on hold, but like the plan was to build a game like this, and then basically this girl, it's a story of like, we also have the story of this basically, by the way, like this is a story, and basically it's a simple narrative of the story. And then basically you see it's about like, let's go and look at the story. So basically it's about two sisters, Rose and Angel. Rose, she was the elder sister, and Angel was the younger one. They lived outside a small town near a forest. Both sisters loved each other and played together. Rose playing with her sister in the park, and these are like the kind of like scenes or like activities that we can put in the game. Their mother used to go out in the day for work and would leave Rose to take care of her sister and do her studies. Now, right? So basically this can be we can have tasks around these things, saying that like, okay, Rose needs to do this, so that like, and she will gain points, and we are like working on the mechanics of it, but that's like that's the kind of idea for the game. Okay. Yeah, so this is the script that TWIG has sent, and it's like it's super smart if you look at it. Like I mean, so for example, what they are doing is basically they are in my opinion, basically they are going through all the entire string and basically checking for certain characters, for example, with this find string, and then they are doing comparison. I am not super familiar with the with the syntax, or like the bash, or not the bash. This is not bash. This is basically batch file. So, and as I was saying, basically this you have some sort of a text file somewhere. So this is the text file which has like all those characters, and then basically what it does is basically it formats that into the output like console in a specific manner, which is really smart and really nice. And I think it's a very good way of basically going and showing us like a still image on the screen. You can animate the image as well, but then basically you have to go into timers and basically set a duration, and then basically keep on reading the file frame by frame. Every animation that we see has like 2 or 3 main concepts. The first one is that the most basic concept is like every animation is made up of frames, right? So now where do you get those frames? There are like multiple things. Some for example, in your video files, the frames are encoded in the file itself, and in like other kind of places, those frames are basically generated on the fly. For example, game engines like Unity, they generate the frames on the fly. So this is like the design that I'm planning to work on. So this is like a world that we can create. And then right now I haven't put anything here. I will put here, but like I do have a few like assets that I use. So for example, there are like, and I would like to show you some scenes from those, right? So if I open this other scene, which is like kind of a demo scene by the creators of the assets, I think this one, sorry, this one. So yeah, so this is a scene that you can see. So this is like a photorealistic kind of a scene, and if I start playing the game, you might be able to see that like it's these game engines like Unity and others, they provide you a very nice kind of a way of building these photorealistic games. So if you see here, like I'm getting a frame rate of 320 or like around 320 frames per second. And basically TWIG told me that he's like limited to do 2 frames per second. Yes, that's the limit of like of scripting, because I mean that's how far you can go. And because most of that is like is text parsing or string parsing, it's not very like efficient in terms of like CPU cycles, because strings are first of all like super difficult to manipulate. All this data on the other hand, like all these frames and all that stuff is these are like what do you call it, textures and 3D meshes which are being rendered, and you can use these to like create very mature games. But as I said, like so this stream is not about gaming or like game development, but it's a super interesting concept that that was basically I got drawn into it because I had this message from TWIG in terms of like asking me about the shell scripting and all that stuff. Today I think we are looking at building another application that I was building on, and probably like I don't know, do you guys think I should start like streaming about my game project? Because I hadn't planned on streaming that. I was mostly thinking of like of doing that as a like a sometimes very less often. But if you think like that's a very good thing to do, I will be more than happy to basically stream my game development as well. Right now I'm not streaming it, and I haven't like the good thing is it's just the beginning, right? So I haven't done anything. So they're asking me, have you heard of Love 2D? I'm not familiar with it. So I'm not familiar with that game or like probably I don't know what this Love 2D is. Probably I can take a look. Please forgive my free 2D game engine. So it's like okay. So Love is a framework of making 2D games in Lua programming language. I see. So nice. Uh, okay, that's really nice. I mean, I think it's a community or open source project, and as I can bring my screen here, so this is like the Love community page. It's really interesting. So function love.draw love graphics print hello world. Okay, this is full service of hello and love. Running this code will cause an 800 by 600 window to appear and display white text on black background. Nice. So I think what kind of audio capabilities they have? Like let's see, list of names of currently enabled effects. I think most of these would be like the 16-bit audio that you generally see in the, or maybe 8-bit. I don't know. Probably interface playing recording sound. Okay, so this is like input-output cable of recording sounds. Nice. So it can if it can record, which means that it can also play back the normal WAV format or like the normal things that we see in like our computer audio files, which is like the WAV format audio. Generally, like MP3s and all the others are like a compressed version of the same. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's like it's just like simple audio samples represented as like bits and bytes. Nice. So I've never heard of it, but like it's really interesting. I mean, I wasn't. It's like this is one of the reasons I decided to stream on Twitch, because you get a very good opportunity to meet some very talented people and get get a lot of knowledge, and basically everybody shares these things with each other, which is like a really nice way of of like spreading knowledge and discussing ideas and things like that. For example, so okay, people have made voice recognition software from it. Wow. So he told me that like people have made like voice recognition software from it, which is really amazing. Like see, at the end of the day, like these programming languages and these things are like just tools, right? So it's totally up to your imagination what you can build out of them. I feel that like writing software is like drawing, right? So you draw pictures. It's also an art. Like there are certain there is a science behind it, but mostly it's also an art. It's similar to like music, right? So when there is science involved in music, because you have to study harmonics and those kind of things. I mean, those you cannot like there are certain rules which define that these two notes are not compatible with each other, and that's why that people have these sequences of like specific patterns of like melodies. You have to know what brush strokes to use. Okay, I think he means to say that you have to know what brush strokes to use. Exactly. That's really, yes. That's the exact concept that I meant. You have to know basically when you are drawing, you have to know what brush strokes to use. So the analogy in programming to that would be basically when you are doing that, you have to understand that what tools or techniques are more suitable for your job, right? So it's like sometimes you have these very advanced programming languages and tools, right? But if your job is not that advanced, you don't need some. So then in that situation, a bash script or a batch file would be more than enough for you to basically do your job. So you don't want to use a sledgehammer to kill a bug, right? It's that kind of situation. Yeah, that's really true. I totally understand, and I respect the fact that people understand and programming, and they want to learn it. That's like yesterday on my stream, somebody, when I was in the late night stream, when I was building the system, a couple of people reached out to me, and one of them wanted to learn programming or coding, which was really amazing, because when you are as I was mentioning about my music analogy, right? So if you are a programmer, or like if you write code, you can do almost anything that can be basically converted into those set of rules, right? So for example, if you can convert an idea into a set of instructions, then you can build it. That's the beauty of programming, and that's the reason like I've been so much hooked into it. I do a full-time job as a software engineer. I have I write, and I mean, on a given day I write code for around basically 16 to 18 hours, because after my work I get back to my machine, and then I start writing more code and building these small hobby projects or tools. Some of them are useful, some of them are just for me to learn new ideas and just experiment with things. For example, this particular application that we are building, basically Edumeet, it's like it's a pet project. I want to basically see it succeed and become like a mainstream service for the teachers and students to use in terms of being able to conduct the classes, and not worry about things like, oh, I have to send out a meeting link, I have to send a invite. And this is purely for remote learning, right? So for people to collaborate and learn with each other. So you can build things like these. You can build games. You can also go ahead and basically write software which automates some parts of your day-to-day routine. For example, I remember when there was a time when I was really struggling with like these 4 or 5 different calendars which had all these meetings for me. And then I was struggling to figure out which it was really difficult for me to keep a track of like all these calendars and all the events that are happening on them. Because I had a personal calendar for my own work, and then I had a calendar on which the class information for my daughter was put, and then I had a work calendar on which like my work related meetings were like. And it was really easy it was really difficult for me to first of all keep a track of all these meetings, and secondly it was really easy for me to miss some important commitment. So what I decided was like, okay, let me just do one thing. I decided to build an automated bot which will basically go ahead and basically pull information and keep pulling information from these calendars, and basically notify me of my schedule every day in the morning. And then basically if there is a new thing coming, it will remind me, so I don't have to go to like these 3-4 different calendars. I can just look into one. So you can build anything that you like with like if you know how to write code. And there are like so many languages and tools. So it's similar to like in a real world. When you are born in a specific place, you have to learn the language of that specific place. But if you are like if you when it comes to programming or coding, you don't have to learn a specific language. You can choose your language, whatever. There are so many languages, whichever one you like, the one that you find to be more expressive and like conforming to your style, you can use that one and then basically build something. For example, in this particular case, I'm using C#, which is like .NET programming language, basically, and it's a good language. In the past, I've used languages like maybe Java. I've used Visual Basic. I've used Scala, and I've worked extensively with Python as well. So these languages are like a way of expressing yourself. In a similar way, when like we use our natural languages for expressing and communicating with people, these languages give us a way of like achieving tasks or like programming things which are useful tools, websites, batch jobs which process huge amounts of data, things that keep the likes of Facebook and Google running. Are these these programming languages, which is the crux of the matter. Okay, so now let's go back and look at our goal for today. So what we did was, like yesterday we had added the Serilog logger and added the student's map to a parent. Now what we can do is basically we can add the we can fix a few bugs which we found yesterday. So I would like to first of all clean my database, because I have a local database running on my machine, and I keep cleaning it because it's like right now it's the basic feature. And this I like this way of, like, of software development, where when I'm working on my local machine, I just have to basically be able to spin up and spin down the environment as many times as I want. So I can just clear it, start from a clean slate, and like see the entire process end to end. So let me go to my debug and enable all breakpoints. So breakpoints, like these are my breakpoints, and they will like halt the program whenever something interesting happens. So for example, I would like to for me to be able to understand the bugs, these two bugs, the sign in and sign up bug. There are like these bugs are coming when like a user completes their sign up. So I would like to understand what's causing these bugs, right? So I will first of all put a breakpoint onto my my controller here, which basically gets the response back from the server. So let's start, and when I start, it will like create all these tables in the database, and then basically it will I will have what do you call it, opportunity to start from the fresh, and then basically I can just get my, so it has inserted all this data into my database, which is very nice. And I can come here. So this is my API, which is an interface in front of my database, which returns all the data. So I don't need to call the database directly. I can just call this HTTP endpoint, and this is like my application. So let's go and register something. So I'll just and as I explained in my previous video, basically I'm using a concept of like magic links and all that stuff. So you can watch the previous videos. They are available on YouTube and also on Twitch to understand the style of, or like the architecture of the application, and like the tables and data structures. So what I have is basically I have a collection of users, and these users are basically different types of users. So I'll just sign in using this user. I'll just use this magic link. I'll register this guy, and basically you will now be, so this magic link is a way for me to tie a user to a tenant, and tenant in this case is a school. So I am just using tenants as so this is going to be a multi-school application or multi-tenant application. So I just want to be able to have the segregation between tenants and schools. So now I can sign in using my Google account, which is nothing but an email. So I can just use this one, and if I come back here, so it's now halted on the breakpoint. It received the response. So okay, perfect. So it says user. So now I would want to get the response back from this guy. What is the response that I get back? So let's see. So it will call my API. It will get the magic link response, and basically the magic link response it says like, okay, give a name, all that stuff. Yeah. So I'll just say prepare complete user sign up request. So the request contains all the data that I received from there, right? And then I can just say content, and then it comes to my API. It says it updates all these values in the database. Login type, website is perfect. And what is my login provider? It should be in Google. Perfect. So it's going to save. So it saved all this data in the database. Now if I can just come back here. So it's like it's successful response, and I can read the response. So it says all that. If I come back here, user.id tenant id. Perfect. It got the tenant name, Tesco username. So okay, what did it fail? Okay, no, there was no exception. So if I sign out from here and if I sign in again, this is like sign in but not sign up. Okay, perfect. So I use the same account. If I come back here, got it. So this is the place where I'm getting this back. So if I come back here, so it has the information, but it doesn't have my role and my school populated here. He's asking me like, do I have Discord? Sorry, man, I haven't set up Discord, but I will probably set up Discord at some point in time. I just started streaming recently. I will set up a Discord server at some point in time. I don't have it as of now, but probably I'll take some time today to set up a Discord and basically then post a link onto my community page. I think I can just do that today sometime tonight, and probably by the next stream we will have Discord server. And by the way, like, let me just look at there. I'm adding them as my friend, and then basically I can just send them a message. So I have added you as my friend, TWIG. I've sent you a friend request. If you can just please go ahead and be kind enough to accept my friend request, that would be awesome. And I will just so maybe today. Have them, and I think I should follow you. I'm following you as well, so just so that you know, basically. And I'm here to build a community of like-minded people who can just we can discuss ideas. I can learn from you guys a lot, and basically I can probably share some of my knowledge with you guys in the process. So that's the goal here, and it would be super cool if I can like set up a group of friends who can work with each other in terms of sharing the knowledge on ourselves. Okay, now let's go back to our sign-in issue. So what's happening here? Let me just debug step by step to see what's happening. So the user is authenticated. If I go to my user sign-in service, and this is what happens here. There is something weird happening here. So user sign-in request, prepare sign-in request. User identity is 1. Okay, it has got claimed another C. So it has created the sign-in request. Perfect. And string content, it has HTTP client post async. What's the request? Sign-in. So I'm going to my sign-in controller here. Where is my sign-in controller? Sign-in user. This one. Let's see what happens here. So it comes here, and basically, let's see. Go to my user sign-in service. User service, and where is my sign-in? Sign-in. User sign-in. This guy. Let's see. So it comes here, and I've got the object identifier. This guy. Login provider. It gets the login provider. Wow. The login provider is null. So So it says object identifier, this guy. Let's see, what am I supposed to do here? Login provider repository, user repository, go to my user repository, see what's happening, get login provider, this guy. So it goes to user login providers and object identifier. If I go to my object identifier, what's my object identifier here? Service. So this is the login providers. It did not return, it did not find this login provider. And if I try to find what's happening, so it's in the user login provider. So if I go to my database, user login providers, if I data, wow, it doesn't have any data. It should have had the data because I already signed up the user. Right? So if I refresh this guy, refresh, see, I have this data. It should have signed up this user. It did not, which is the reason, like, okay, it's not a sign in bug so much, it's more of a sign up bug. So the sign up bug, okay, cool, I got the idea. I think so yeah, that's where it freaks out. Let's clear up the database and start fresh. So let's clean and try to debug what's happening in the list. Delete this guy. So I cleaned out all the data from here. Now what I can do is basically I can come back and get students. Okay, I'll just look at my sign up. What's happening in the sign up? Ah, I see. I refactored this. I now remember I refactored this. User login provider. What happens in the user debug, delete all breakpoints. It's this guy which is not saving the data. So I'll have to basically just debug at this step. And where is my, so this I already have what's happening in this save user repository. So this is my user repository. This is already my user repository. I can go to the save user thing here. Ah, I see. I got the idea. I got what's happening. Okay, it's my bad. It's my bad. It's a reference update. So actually, this is a collection, and I should not have done that. Got it. So I should probably add, rather than trying to add all the login providers, I should just add basically user login providers, and then just add this single guy, as opposed to trying to add all of them, because for me to be able to add all of them, I had to convert this login providers collection to a list, and that generates a new object altogether. So it's not in the actual object that I'm adding stuff, it's in the new object that I'm adding stuff, which basically so basically I don't this reference is disconnected from the parent object. So I can just remove this from here and come back here and save this, and I can start the application now. Hopefully this should fix the bug. And as as I was saying, like these are, I thought these are two different bugs, but actually they are just one bug. Probably I'm doing something similar at some other place as well. So if I register now, I do have to have a magic link, and that magic link is going to be in my user tables. So let's sign in as a teacher. I would like to sign in as a teacher. Hello, register myself. Now I come here, and if I go to my user repository, which is this guy, okay, come here. So user login provider is not now. Perfect. And there is no ID for this one. Okay. So let's set the provider.id as well. The login provider. Login type ID is also set. If I come here, freaked out. It freaked out. Wow. Let's see what happens. User login providers. Okay, it inserted the data. Perfect. So it added the data. So now I should have the role teacher, and if I sign out, I do have the. So if I sign in again, I should be able to sign in without any issues. It should not. Yes. So now I am able to fetch the data and all this. So that's sorted out. Both the sign in and sign in bugs are gone, which is really nice. So I'm able to fix those. I'm still thinking, what is this guy freaking out about? The operation was cancelled. Okay, I got it. Because I issued a challenge and I did not complete that challenge. So this is something that I'm not familiar with. I'm new about it, but I will have to figure out what's the what's the correct way of fixing this. I'll have to read into the ASP.NET Core documentation to see what's how to issue a challenge and then basically handle that challenge, or like the challenge response. So what I mean by this is like just to show quickly. What happens is basically as soon as somebody wants to, we create a new challenge, and basically we set the new challenge, and basically it waits for that challenge to be accepted and basically service back. I don't know how to basically complete this challenge now. Once we have the challenge, how to basically say that like, yeah, hey, this challenge is now complete. I think I'll have to look at it, and I can take a look. That thing is basically handle challenge basic. I can just take a note of it. Crashed. And challenge async documentation for ASP. So I need to read about this, figure out how to handle this. So I can just put it here into one of my tasks. this is done. Fix bugs. Both of the bugs have been fixed. In fact, I'll give it a try by signing up as another user, or like the second user as a parent, so that I'm able to basically test that flow as well. So okay, I come back to this guy, bring it here, and I can just basically register as a second user, which is this one, and I can come to my database, which is my users, and use this magic link, because this user has not yet registered. So if you see, this one has signed up, but the other one has not, because the sign up date and that stuff is empty. So I can just use this link and register with this guy. So it's going to take me somewhere, and this is a login for a parent. So for the other one was the login for a teacher. This one is for a parent. So if I use the other one, email address. So if I say complete user sign up, let me just debug this step by step as well. Login type set. It's not. So there is a login type for this guy as well. Awesome. I know there is this exception being thrown all the time. I think so this is copied. I can copy this information more into my job. Okay. So the sign in completes, and this is a parent, and they are a parent in test school. So this both the bugs have been fixed. I can confirm that. Okay. So this is done, and basically done and done. Okay, so these two bugs have been fixed. I can just remove them from the list. Add response to all objects. Status to all response objects. Okay, I can add that one. It's not super urgent priority. I will probably do it at some point in time later. For now, I think I should focus on more business centric. I think this is also business centric requirement, but not super urgent. So this is my repository. Let me see what's there is only one change in this guy, so I can just add and push this to source control. So this is like the bug that I just fixed, and now I can just focus on look at my and see what are the tasks that I have been as I explained in like my previous streams. I tend to like, although it's like a hobby project, but I still tend to do them like in a proper organized manner with all that stuff. So this thing is still pending, the scheduling API add. So this is done. Add subject entities plus endpoints. This is done. And add classes entities plus endpoints. This is also done. So now this is the kind of things I need to add Zoom account linking for teachers. So this is the thing that I would want to work on next. Okay. Now what this means is basically what I need here is as I was saying, like we need to have the feature to be able to store or like store the tokens for a user for their Zoom accounts and Zoom things, so that like basically we can schedule meetings on their behalf on Zoom, or like this is like one thing, because one of the schools that has such a requirement that I know of are using Zoom accounts for doing that. So we will integrate with Zoom API, with the Zoom thing, and then we will try to basically hook our application into that. So if I go to Zoom developers, yeah. So this is the app marketplace for Zoom, and if I go to sign in, so this is my account, and if I go to manage, so these are my apps, right? So this is an OAuth app that I have created. I think like I'm gonna remove this. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, I think one of them is going to be the one that I'm going to use. So I've got all this stuff, and this is my client secret and all that stuff, and I can just go ahead and use this one for doing this. So we will have to integrate these apps with our application. So I would like to take a short break now, and basically I'll be back in maybe next 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then basically we can continue from this point onwards. Start adding. We already have the just for the people who are new. We already have the infrastructure in the database to be able to do this. For example, this user login providers table stores the things related for. So it has login provider ID, login type ID, and all that stuff, right? And then basically I don't have a login provider for Zoom, which I will do shortly. I will create a login provider for Zoom, which is stored in this table. Right now I've got Google, Microsoft, and Facebook. I will add one more thing here, and these login providers has certain capabilities, right? For example, this guy supports sign in. This guy Google supports calendar as well. We like for our internal login we only support sign in, we don't support calendar. And for if you want to use calendars and meetings, you have to bring in some other third party. You'll have to basically add some third party login mechanism, for example Google. So you can combine all these, so you can sign in using your email on our on the internal B2C login. I had explained more about the B2C login on my previous streams, but like this is like a B2C is like a Azure kind of login provider provided by Microsoft, and I decided not to build my own login provider from scratch. I decided to use something which was built by them, and what I'm doing here is basically I'm just using this login provider to basically store the users and all that stuff. I don't want to build it myself. I don't want to secure it. These are large cloud companies. They have proper like teams working on the security and those kind of things. So I don't have to worry about the login credentials leaking out somehow. So that's the reason I decided not to build my own. I decided to use Azure B2C. And then these are like external providers, Google, Microsoft, and Facebook, and these are also not mine. And basically I have flags for the capabilities of each login provider. Right? For example, all of them support the sign-in, but only 2 of them support calendar, and only 2 of them support meetings. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to add one more login provider here, which is going to be Zoom, which will only support meetings. It will not support calendar or something. So that way basically users can add their Zoom account onto the platform, and then basically we will schedule meetings on their behalf with their permissions, of course. So that's like that's the idea here, and basically this is the next feature that we're going to build. So I'm going to come here and I will just say this is going to be 6th. I'll add one more feature. In fact, this will be 6 because I'll add a 5th goal, which is going to be okay. So we'll integrate with Zoom, and basically we'll break down the tasks, what will be required for doing this thing. So now I would like to take a short break, and then I'll be back after the break, and then probably it should not be more than 5 minutes, and then basically we'll continue from that point. Okay, so I'm back, and now let's continue our like integrating with Zoom. So first of all, let's just try to plan a little bit so that like we don't do stuff in a wrong manner. I'm just trying. This is one of the things that I struggle to find. Sometimes like there's something going on in my head. I'm thinking about it, and then basically I'm not able to find the right word because I'm trying to multitask. I'm also trying to think about the concept, I'm also trying to find a word. So okay, so the goal is basically we are trying to integrate with Zoom. So let's try to figure out like let's try to define certain the problem statement or the constraints, if you may. So why do we need to integrate with Zoom? Let's just ask the first question, because there would be like a certain scenarios. If the user is signing in using their so let's look at here. So we have got two of the providers, which is Google and Microsoft. They kind of support meetings. Now we need meeting capabilities. So there is a third provider, which is Zoom, which also supports that. But and that's the one which is used by these. So what happens is, let's say if a guy logs in using their Google account or their internal account that we have basically hooked up with the Azure B2C system, whatever account they choose, we still if they are a teacher, they would need to schedule those meetings or those classes for their students, right? So what we need is we need a way of basically creating those meetings and generating those links for those meetings for them. Now so there are a few requirements. A student doesn't have to have them, because most of these platforms allow you to basically schedule meetings and others to join them without requiring them to have a login or an account. So the same is the case with Zoom as well. Like Zoom allows you can send a link to the guests, and the guests just click on that link and they can join that meeting. Now what that means is we would have to, on our side, we will have to have a capability for the teachers to be able to like when they log in, if they don't have a login a meeting login provider. And if you see here, we have got login types as well, which tells us like what kind of login it is. So one user can have multiple login types, right? So for example, they have a login type for signing in the app, and then they have another login type for their meetings. So what we want to do is basically, first of all, who are like our constraints are, let's define the constraints. So who are our like target users? These are going to be teachers, right? So I'll just write them for short as teachers. So these are going to be our target users who will need to have those meeting capabilities. And what these teachers need is basically to create meetings, to be able to create or update meetings, right? So they need to be able to create or update meetings, right? When I say meeting, I mean the online collaboration, or like the online meetings that you schedule for your students for their classes. Now in this situation, what we need is basically the flow is going to be simple. The teacher signs in, like they do a sign in or sign up, both of them, in both the situations, right? So sign in, sign up, whatever they do. Then this is the first step. So this is step one. Then once we get there, we can ask them, hey, if the sign up provider that they're using, right, if it supports meeting. So if the sign up provider that they're using supports meeting, it supports meeting, I'll just write them like in acronyms. So if the sign up provider supports meeting, then we show them, so this is going to be yes, right? Yes. Then we show them a pop-up or a message saying, do you want to use this sign up provider to basically schedule meetings? Use this one. So use. So we ask them a question, do you want to use the same provider for scheduling meetings? If they say yes, then we need, because the logins that we are using right now are just for authentication. They are not like, they don't have extra scopes or the extra capabilities to be able to like schedule meetings on the user's behalf. So we need to add those capabilities to those logins or those credentials that we receive from Google when these credentials are just like tokens which are just for one specific purpose. They are not like, as if it's not that like if somebody signs in using their Google account, then we have their credentials or entire information. We just have a token which basically is like a application specific token which is issued to us. We don't know whatever information the user has agreed to share with us is only shared with us. It's not that like we have their username and passwords. Just like a token, and there are like details that they have agreed to share with us, for example their name, their email address, and so forth, right? So they say yes, so we will need to make another request to Google or Microsoft for that matter, to basically get new claims. So these things are known as claims. So get new claims, so I'll just call them CLM claims. And once we receive those claims, we store them in our database. So store them in our database. So I'll just represent the database like this, which is basically right. So we use these to store the claims in our database. So they come into our database. This is like when they say the same. If they say basically if can schedule meetings is no, it cannot schedule meetings. And this or they say don't use the same provider in both the scenarios, right? We want to branch out a second flow, which is basically and here, no, and no here as well. We have this information in our database. This information is provided by user when they sign up, right? So depending on whichever path we come from, we need to ask them which provider they want to use, right? Ask to choose provider. So choose provider. So we ask them to choose a provider. In this situation, they can choose from 3 providers, right? One of them is, so it should not be a decision. In fact, it should be just a okay. It should not be a decision, but it should be a process. So what happens is basically we ask them to choose a provider. So choose provider, and from that they can choose 3 providers, right? I'll just take like branch out 3, although the correct representation would be like these decision kind of boxes, but I'll just say like for the sake of simplicity, yeah, what they have chosen, either they choose 3 or they choose Google, right? They choose Microsoft, or they choose Zoom. So they chose one of these providers for using the service. So this is the integration that we are supposed to build. This is the one that we are going to build, and all this information. Then once they do that, all those claims they also provide us claims, right? So all of them are using some a protocol known as OAuth, which is like Open Authentication 2.0. OAuth 2.0. So this is the protocol that's being used. Now what we want to do is basically we would want to basically store once they do that, we would want to store this information in our data store, which is PostgreSQL database, so that basically some backend jobs from our server side can then basically schedule those meetings for on behalf of the user. So this is like our kind of idea of how do we want to build this, right? So I think what we can do is like now what we can we have already defined the things. Now we can just start looking at so we already have the flow chart defined for the user authentication or sign up flow. So we can start building. I don't think we will be able to complete the flow in this session, because I just have 10 minutes. I need to end the stream in like the next 5 minutes. So we will continue tonight. I have I will stream tonight around. So I plan to stream around 10 p.m. Dubai time. So let's say if I convert this to Central. So it will be around 7:20 a.m. in like CDT, right? So I think I can come back. You guys can come back and join me at that time. Now that we have already defined the flow and the logic, all that needs to be done is basically first we will build this part, which is here, this part for like on the front end, and then basically we will start adding this capability to our, like we will start creating whatever is required for Zoom integration to work. So this is the goal here, and hopefully we will be able to complete it tonight. Once that's done, basically then we can add features for around these two, because these two will be like additional subjects. So basically we will have one task for this guy, subtask, then one task for this guy, and then basically one task for these two guys. I think that's the scope. So we have got three subtasks that we need to achieve. Integration with, I'll not call it Zoom, I'll just call it meeting providers. And so I have just one task, which is 5.1, basically create UI and flow. So this is what I mean by this, create the UI and flow. And then the second task is going to be 5.2, which is basically integrate with Zoom. 5.3 would be I think we will not build the integration with I think we integrate with we will not do it yet with for Microsoft, which is like the integration platform, which is a little bit different than these two, which is like more of a different kind of approach that we might have to take. We might have to integrate with Microsoft Graph and other things. So I will just hold up, and right now it's not a very common thing that is being used by a lot of people. So we will not do that. So yet we will do it at a later point. Once this is done, then basically the next thing or the next task that I would want to focus on is, I will just make it is to basically build dashboard. So once we have this, we want to build the dashboard to show timetable, class schedule, right? And then finally we can work on these items, which is going to be 7, 8. So this is the plan of action. We have done this. I think we can remove this goal from here, and I can just say 5.0, which is define the problem. We have already defined and formalized the problem here. So next step would be to just go ahead and use this to basically build the entire authentication or like integration platform. Okay, so I will end this stream in next couple of minutes, and basically join you guys tonight for completing this goal.